Hello. So at first I originally thought, at least in my Rise of Cobra collection videos, I thought this was as good of an interpretation of the helicopters you see in the movie. After closer inspection, of course, there are some major differences between them. So this is kind of going to be a video for this, but then also kind of a video on the reviewers that I like, of course. Um, and then also kind of a comparison. So not sure how many videos this is actually going to be, but even though the title will probably say video for this, it's going to be quite a mixture of things, as most of my videos usually are. So the first thing is this is the Rise of Cobra Dragonhawk XH1 that came with Wild Bill. It took me a while to find this one, and I actually found it at a store that normally I don't usually shop at first. Not really going to talk about which store, so sorry about that, but um, anyway, I went there and I finally found this, and I think it's just one of those things that either just didn't hit my area yet, or people were picking it up. Even though on the forums, when we first saw this, quite a few people were rather upset. But at least they called it the Dragonhawk XH1. And the reason why people were upset is because they were really hoping for a dragonfly, and they were really hoping that it was going to be big. And many people have mostly talked about the size with this vehicle. Um, so anyway, with the movie, this is what I originally thought, but then after watching some reviews and then also reading the back of the package here, where it says the Dragonhawk XH1 helicopter conducts attack and support missions. It has HG-202 missile launchers that quick deploy from recessed compartments. The helicopter is swift, maneuverable, and capable of extremely low hoverability, and in the hands of an expert pilot, will aggressively perform under any light and weather conditions. So that really doesn't tell you too much. But then if you then also get onto Wild Bill's card here, it says Wild Bill is a combat pilot on the G.I. Joe team. If it has wings, it can fly. He can fly it. Whether it's the latest military attack helicopter or the fighter jet. And then it says, after a convoy is attacked while transporting classified weapon prototypes, Wild Bill is deployed as part of the team to rescue the survivors. Now, what's interesting about this to me is that you could see that as still part of the movie, or you can also see it as what they'll hopefully be doing with some of the newer lines of G.I. Joe that's going to be coming out, that they sometimes stick with a story within the toy line itself. And so you can see this as part of the movie, or you can see this as extremely different. This could be that Wild Bill was sent in this, what are we calling it again? The Dragonhawk XH1 to rescue the people, even though it didn't look like in the movie that anybody survived, other than Ripcord and Duke, of course. And so you can see that maybe somebody did survive and Wild Bill went and picked them up. Or you can see by reading the file cards and the other descriptions on the back of some of the packaging that it had its own story. Or the other way too is that you have to keep in mind that with all the obstacles that we're told the movie had to go through and jump, the hurdles they had to jump, keep in mind that a toy line has to be being produced at the same exact time in order to get out. Because usually what we hear is that a toy line takes 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years, because they have to design everything, they have to have all the meetings about what cost and all that kind of stuff, and then they have to actually produce the stuff. And so to time this exactly right with a movie, it's much like video games that are based on movies, usually they're not that great because they're having to, have their own story or try and stick as close to what the movie is, and yet, unless those people are working on the same thing, trying to get one idea to another company, when there's two companies that are working pretty much side by side, it's really hard to get it exactly right. So anyway, those are the things that I thought originally, and then after watching some reviews and stuff, got my stories a little bit more clear. So yeah, this isn't exactly the vehicle that you see at the beginning, because of course that has two cockpits, or it's a two-seated cockpit. And of course, if you've already seen other people's videos for this, this only holds one figure. And according to one of the reviewers, I haven't tried it out myself, but I'm sure he knows what he's talking about. It doesn't even hold the one figure that it comes with that well. Trying my best to keep it on camera. So you got a repainted Wild Bill. I guess the legs are kind of new. And also, I'll say this about, no one really mentioned it, so maybe it's been remolded, or maybe no one really noticed. But at least when this figure, or at least Wild Bill, originally came out for the 25th anniversary, if you take his hat off, a lot of people thought, and even myself, I'm trying to tell myself, yeah, it does look small, but they thought that his head is way too small for his body. And that was a problem for a while there with some of the figures, and it just makes you wonder, does the person that's designing the head sculpts, is it the same person that's designing the bodies? Because it seems like some of the heads never seem to fit. But I think, I haven't gone through them all right now and looked at them that closely, but that's a thumbs up in my mind for the Rise of Cobra figures, and hopefully the Pursuit of Cobra and everything else going forward is they've hopefully fixed that. So not sure if it comes across that way to you guys or not, but that was one of the things I do remember. So anyway, you're going to go ahead and try and fit Wild Bill in to the cockpit. Got to kind of squeeze him and everything. And there he is, sitting in the cockpit. And then the reviewer was saying that if you stick his hat on, he won't be able to shut the cockpit thing. So let's see. It's definitely a tight fit, but I'm not really having much of a problem fitting his hat in there. So yeah, I think you just gotta kind of squeeze his legs down and kind of bend his knees a little bit, and otherwise he's fitting fine for me. So then detail, basically really cool looking, very futuristic. Would have been nice if it could have been a two-seater, as a Dragonfly used to be. Then let's see what the cockpit looks like. It's not really much of a cockpit, in my opinion. Try and get in there. Blades are in the way. It's just basically a screen. There's no... Well, actually, there they are. I was going to say there's no handlebars, but there are. Hopefully you can see those. Got my camera up so I don't have a hand free. So yeah, there's two of them on the side. So thankfully with G.I. Joe wrist articulation, you probably could get them to hold those. Then let's see. It's always a tough thing, whether the cost is true or not, is that you get molded wheels, or at loose ones, rolling ones there, but the one in the back does not roll. And so at least they gave us those, and I guess if you hold the tail end back, it does roll, so that's nice. But anyway, so there's 10 minutes for this video, so we will see you in the next one. Alright, thanks for watching, and bye.